Thank you for joining me for today's practice. My name is Paula. Today's practice is a restorative sequence that's focused on the hips, particularly the inner thighs and the front of the hip. Please have some firm cushions, or if you have a bolster, have a bolster, and a folded up blanket for our practice today, which we'll use as we kind of move through. Make sure you're nice and comfortable. I'm going to be having my socks on. I have this wonderful comment that was a little while ago on the channel where someone said that whenever they see me with socks on, that they know they're in for a cozy practice, which I really, really loved. So feel free to have your socks on. We will come into down facing dog at one point, but we won't be there for long, so it won't be too slippery, I don't think. Okay, so let's make a start in our child's pose. So big toes together, knees wide, just sitting back towards the heels. And you can start with stacking one hand on top of the other and just resting the forehead down. And just taking this time just to settle into the body. Just allowing the hips to be heavy. Just meeting yourself exactly where you are right now. And gently opening to whatever's here. Lightly scanning through the body and taking the breath anywhere that feels like it's needed right now. Maybe that is into the hip creases, maybe into the upper back or the lower back, wherever it is for you. Sense of the breath being nourishing. Just one more full breath here. And then extending the hands forward so you can start to lengthen out through both sides of the waist, pressing down through the palms of the hands. Taking an inhale and then exhaling heavy hips. Shifting the weight forward into your tabletop position, sealing down through all 10 knuckles of the hands, arching through the spine, lifting the tailbone up, drawing the chest forward. Inhale into your cow and then exhale into your cat. And again, inhale to arch and then exhale into your cat. And just keep going, just a couple more. So in your own breath cycle. And then coming back to your long neutral spine, starting to take some circles back with the hips and just a little bit of shifting of weight forward and back. I have a sense of this figure 8 type action with the torso. Keeping the breath open and then changing the direction when you're ready. And finishing off your last one, coming back to center and then just walking the hands out into your Anahata Asana. Just for a couple of breaths, rotating the armpits to face in towards one another, allowing the chest to reach down towards the mat. And then shifting forward onto the forearms, all the way down to the belly, stacking one hand on top of the other and coming into your crocodile for a moment. Letting the legs completely relax. Feeling the front of the body down on the mat. Separate the feet hip distance apart if they're not already there. And then bend at the knees, flexing through the feet and taking a windscreen wipe action with the legs from one side to the other. Just feeling this gentle mobilizing through the hip joint, through the pelvis and the lower back. Easy breathing. And coming back to center. Extend the legs back out again. Just coming up onto the forearms, taking your folded blanket, and then we're going to bring this right leg up onto the blanket, coming into your half frog. Now you might have this a little bit lower down. I'm lining up the knee with the hip, but just see how that feels, and you might want to take it a bit further down. And then when you're ready, just resting back down onto the hands. Starting to feel into that inner right thigh, into the right groin area. And just finding your breath. And gently feeling into the sensation that might be arising with this posture. There might be a lot of sensation, or maybe there's not for you. Just there's no right or wrong here. And just when we're working into the hips, sometimes the jaw can start to lock up as well. Just take your attention to your jaw, try to soften, unhinging the jaw. Notice if that affects the way that your hips feel. Now you might want to just stay here, that's absolutely fine. If you'd like to, we're going to come up onto the forearms. Just takes it into a bit more of an upper back extension as well. And then again, you might want to stay here. Otherwise, it's going to be an option here to flex the right foot. And we're going to take an internal rotation and lift that back foot up and then lower back down. Lift the back foot up and then lower. And again, inhale to lift and exhale to lower. There might be just a tiny bit of movement with your lift, and that's absolutely fine. I'll just go just one more time and then release it back down, letting that leg completely relax. And then we're going to take that blanket away, extend that right leg back behind you. If you've been down on your hands, just come up onto your forearms into your Sphinx position, and then take that left forearm parallel with the top edge of the mat, bending into that right leg. You're trying to bring the right foot in towards you. If you can, hold the inside, try to bring that right shoulder forward. Maybe you might be able to spin the fingers to point forward. Just finding the breath. A little bit of bringing the pubic bone up towards the navel here, just to lengthen out through the lower back and increase that opening through the front of the right hip, right thigh. It's in this half frog. And try to bring that right shoulder forward. Keep breathing. And then let's gently release that right foot down. Taking the hands down, relaxing the forehead down. Give the hips a bit of a wriggle from side to side. And then coming to stillness when you're ready. Just taking a few moments here. Just noticing any residual sensation. That right thigh, hip, inner thigh area. And then coming up onto your forearms, setting up on the other side, using your folded blanket, bringing the blanket underneath the inner edge of that left thigh, taking your time just to set yourself up, maybe the knees a little bit lower down, and then when you're ready, stacking one hand on top of the other, resting the head down. And taking a few moments here just to feel into this side. Maybe it feels similar, maybe it's a little bit different to the right. Allowing the rest of the body. That might be trying to help out sometimes. Even that right leg, the glute might be starting to activate here a little bit. You want to try to soften that right leg. Relax the shoulders. Checking in with your jaw. Easy breathing. Feeling really free to stay with the forehead down. If you'd like to, coming up onto the forearms, and just finding your Sphinx position. And then maybe going into this internal rotation with this left leg, so flexing the left foot and then lifting the left foot up towards the ceiling and then lowering it back down. Inhale to lift and then exhale to lower. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. And again, inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Let's go one more time. Inhale, lift, and exhale to lower. We're letting that left leg completely relax. And then let's remove the blanket, taking that left leg back behind you. If you're down on your hands, coming up onto your forearms, finding your Sphinx, then bending into this left leg, reaching back, trying to bring that foot in towards you. If you can, you're holding the inside of the top of the ankle, and then maybe spinning the fingers to point forward. Trying to bring that left shoulder forward. Reach the tailbone back towards the back edge of the mat. Often quite strong sensations here. Just find the breath. Taking one more full breath. Inhale. Stay for the exhale. And then very gently releasing that, coming down onto the hands, giving the hips a bit of a wriggle from side to side. And then coming to stillness. The space of observing, noticing. And then let's release the hands underneath the shoulders. Press yourself back into your tabletop position. I'm just setting up wrists a little bit further forward of the shoulders, tucking the toes under, coming into your down facing dog. Just taking a couple of breaths in your down dog.
Lengthening out through both sides of the waist. Chest reaching towards the thighs. And rising up onto the balls of the feet and then lower. And again, rise and lower. And just one more time. Rise and lower. Rise back up onto the balls of the feet so you can take that right leg up to your three-legged dog. Take an inhale and then exhale to step it forward to the outside of that right hand, coming down onto that left knee. Release the top of the left foot down. So we're coming into our lizard here, and you might feel like you don't want to use any props. You could stay here, or you could come down onto the forearms, or if you'd like to use your bolster, you could either choose to bring the bolster so it's sitting just on top, at the top of the thigh there, to give you a little bit of support, and then rest down onto the bolster, allowing the hips just to be heavy here. Just taking your time just to find your position. If you feel like you need to make some adjustments, if you need to come out or if you don't need your bolster, you can always do that. And once you've found it, just try to find stillness just for a bit. Like listening into the body. As we continue to stay here, you might decide you need to make an adjustment. Maybe you would like to remove the bolster. You could move it further away so you still have it for support, or you could pop it off to the side if you feel like you don't need the bolster. Just allowing that left hip just to sink down towards the ground. Relax the jaw. Often a very intense pose for a lot of us. And just really using your breath, and we'll just stay here for another 3 full breaths. And when you're ready, coming back up onto the hands, and just very carefully, just starting to shift the weight back, making your way back into your down facing dog. And taking your own time. Once you're in your down dog, if it's available, just taking a couple of breaths here. Steady gaze with the eyes. Rising up onto the balls of the feet, taking that left leg up into your three-legged dog. Inhale, exhale, step it forward to the outside of the left hand, coming down onto that right knee and releasing the top of the right foot down. Just holding it here, and again, take your time to find a variation that feels like it works for you today, knowing that that might change each time you do something, so not always automatically doing the thing that you always do. If you're using the bolster for a bit of support, you could just slide it down so it's at the top of that right thigh. And once you've found your position, just moving into that space of listening into the body, using your breathing just to meet that rising sensation. Noticing if there's anything that can soften. Shoulders, jaw, that right hip, that left hip. And that left leg that's bent is a little bit of a hugging in towards the body there. Maybe you'd like to adjust, or maybe not. That's absolutely fine. Just you could shift the bolster a little bit further forward so you've got a bit more space, or maybe move it completely out of the way if there's space. Three more full breaths here. And always knowing that you could always move out of something if it's too much, feels like you're over that threshold, over your edge, and you need to back out. Always doing what you need for yourself. And then making your way back up onto your hands if you're not already there. Carefully taking that left leg back and making your way into down facing dog. Just one more time. Just taking a breath here. And exhaling out. And then coming down onto the knees. So we're going to be moving into our frog. Grab your pillows or cushions or your bolster and then turn to the side. So we're going to face the side so our knees can stay on the mat, and you might even pop a blanket underneath if you're not on anything if you're on something very firm, you're going to want some cushioning for your knees. I'm going to shift the weight forward and start to take the knees out to the side. We're going to start with the bolster really supporting the whole body. Flex through the feet, plant the hands down, and then you might feel like you need to stay up on your hands, so just noticing if that's what you need. If it feels available, you might better rest down onto your pillows or your bolster, turning the head to one side. Find the breath. Just being really gentle with being here in this can be quite an intense posture. And just breathing into the inner thighs, noticing if you need to back out a little bit. Invitation now to turn the head the other way, but if you're on your bolster and you want to move it a little bit further away, because this will start to increase the hips coming down towards the ground, you move it a bit further away and then rest the head down. Just see how you're going here. You might want to bring the bolster back, but if it's available, just allowing the hips to sink a little bit further down, keeping the feet flexed. Maybe shifting the hips a little bit further back. Checking in with your jaw, checking in with the shoulders. Just 3 more full breaths. And then placing the hands firmly down, gently coming off, and just take your own time. Start to bring the feet in a bit closer together and then starting to bring the legs in together as well. So just take the time that you need to come out of that posture, moving the props off to the side and then sitting
with the legs out in front of you, taking the hands back behind you, letting the feet fall away from one another, and then just give the legs a little bit of a shake out, in and out. Kind of soften out through the muscles and into the hip sockets. And then releasing that, come down onto your back. Just finding a constructive rest position for a moment. Crossing the legs and then bringing the legs in towards the chest. So we're coming into our supine Gomukhasana, or laying down version of Gomukhasana. If you can, holding the outside of the ankles and squeezing the knees in. If this doesn't work for you, just take your figure four. That's absolutely fine as well. Trying to keep knee to knee, pressing down through the back of the pelvis as you squeeze the legs in. You might have just a tiny little bit of flex through the feet just to feel that activity there through the whole legs. Shoulder heads relaxing down. Taking an inhale. Staying for the exhale. Squeezing the legs in. And then just release the left foot down, lift the hips up slightly, take them over to the right, and then maybe that right foot goes underneath the left calf, dropping the knees over to the left, opening that right arm out to the side. You could have your bolster or your cushions underneath the legs if you felt like you wanted a little bit more support. Just holding the twist. One more full breath. And then bringing the legs back up through center, uncrossing the legs, hips come back towards the middle, crossing the left leg over the right, bringing the legs in towards the chest, and then squeezing the legs in, maybe a tiny little flex through the feet, trying to have knee to knee or going for your figure four. Directing the breath to where you feel this the most, and most likely if you're in this Gomukhasana that you're in, it's that outer left hip now. Taking one more full breath, inhaling, stay for the exhale, you squeeze the legs in a little bit more, and then let's place that the right foot down, lifting the hips up slightly over towards the left, wrapping that left foot behind the right calf as an option, and then dropping the legs over to the right, opening that left arm out. And the head can be turned towards that left hand or looking straight up towards the ceiling. Left shoulder blade heavy. Noticing anywhere you can soften. And then releasing back to center, uncrossing the legs. Yes. Hips back towards the center, and then bringing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe you want to take your happy baby and squeezing the knees in as you press the back of the pelvis down onto the mat. You could rock from side to side. A sense of massaging out the lower back. And then coming back to center, taking an inhale. Stay for the exhale. Maybe squeeze the knees in just one more time. And then let's release the legs all the way long. If you'd like to pop a bolster or cushion underneath the knees, feeling free to Make yourself feel comfortable. Use a blanket if you need to. Arms a little bit away from the body. Palms facing up. With each exhale, allowing the body to get a little bit heavier and a little bit softer. Whole body, letting go. Resting here for the next few minutes. Feel free to stay resting here. Whenever you're ready, you can start to come out of your Savasana. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. Namaste.